It is America's quiet empire, built on trust, prestige, and credit, processing over $1.6 trillion in transactions, shaping the very flow of global commerce. But it is also a company of control, of manipulation, and ruthless debt trappers. From the Gilded Age to the digital frontier, American Express has mastered one thing above all others: the art of monetizing trust. The United States in the mid-1800s is rising. The Industrial Revolution is reshaping the nation, bringing factories, machines, and a new hunger for progress. America is no longer a small, scattered country. It is on the edge of becoming a true industrial power. Railroads spread across the land, laying iron tracks over plains, rivers, and mountains. They connect towns and cities in ways never imagined before.
Railroads were absolutely liberating because the railroads allowed cheap and efficient transportation from one corner of America to another.
With this new era comes a new appetite. People expect life itself to move faster. They crave more newspapers, more goods, more luxuries. In the heat of progress, a new industry is about to rise to harvest opportunity, and as a result, create some of the most powerful companies in American history. Before the advent of express shipping business, America moved goods the old-fashioned way. Letters and packages went by stagecoach, wagon, canal boat, or even horseback. Delivery was slow, uncertain, and often unsafe. A letter could take weeks to cross just a few states, and packages were easily lost or stolen. As the railroads stretch farther each year, the express business is born.
Back then, an express company meant fast delivery. They hired trusted messengers, often carrying guns, who rode on horseback or stagecoach, and later by train. They didn't just haul parcels, they moved money, gold, and documents that really mattered.
A merchant in St. Louis can send money to New York. A family can ship valuables to California. For the first time, speed and safety go hand in hand. But like all industries at the time, it is ruled by a small handful of companies. Companies like Wells and Company, Livingston and Fargo, and Butterfield carve up the nation's trade routes. And soon, these companies will not just compete, they will clash. By the early 1850s, railroads push westward, cities expand, and the California gold rush fills the air with the promise of sudden riches. But with opportunity comes conflict. A handful of powerful express firms battle for territory and cut into each other's profits. In 1850, the rival barons meet in Buffalo, New York. Henry Wells, the shrewd visionary who built his reputation carrying cash and parcels between Albany and Buffalo, William Fargo, tough and relentless, the hard-driving organizer who made his name on the rough western routes, and John Butterfield, older, seasoned by decades of coaching lines and frontier risk. For years, they've undercut one another, racing for contracts, seizing routes, guarding shipments with guns and grit. But now they agree, competition alone will destroy them. On that day, signatures are put to paper. The Treaty of Buffalo is signed, merging their firms into a single company. From that agreement, a new titan is born, American Express Company. Their feud may be settled in Buffalo, but the nation itself is about to explode. America is marching toward a far bloodier conflict. And for the newly formed American Express, that conflict could become the greatest opportunity yet. In 1861, America splits in two. The election of Abraham Lincoln sparks secession, and southern states break away to defend slavery and their way of life. For business, war is both disaster and opportunity.
The system was breaking down. Cotton couldn't move, merchants were going broke, and the railroads had only one job now: carry troops, supplies, and weapons to the war.
But the chaos of battlefields and blockades makes transportation risky. The need for trusted delivery, for money, letters, and goods, is greater than ever. At the time, William Fargo is in charge of American Express. He's a man with steady ambition and relentless drive. Under his guidance, Amex secures government contracts to move funds and military supplies. Its messengers prove indispensable, racing through hostile territory with cash, medicine, and critical documents.
During the Civil War, it wasn't just about moving troops. You had to move payrolls, government orders, and even medicine across very dangerous ground. And American Express did it, often more reliably than the post office. And that's where its reputation started.
After the Civil War, America entered a new age. The country grew fast. Factories multiplied, and cities filled with immigrants chasing opportunity.
After the Civil War, the economy took off like never before, and that momentum pushed America straight into the industrial age.
American Express comes out of the war stronger, trusted as the company that can deliver when others fail. In 1881, James Congdell Fargo, J.C. Fargo, becomes president of American Express.
So he was the younger brother of the founder, but he didn't just walk into a corner office. He started at the very bottom as a messenger, carrying packages through the streets of Buffalo.
But JC knows one thing for certain: American Express must stay in the family, the Fargo family. To secure that grip, he fills the company with his brothers, nephews, and cousins. JC believes this keeps loyalty tight and power unshakable. JC controls the firm with iron discipline, but control alone does not pay the bills. American Express is still a business, and now it carries the weight of an entire family on its shoulders. To grow American Express even more, he needs a big idea. And soon, that idea will come from an unexpected place. By the 1880s, America grows fast, but money still moves slowly.
Back then, sending money wasn't easy. Families struggled to move wages. Immigrants wanted to help relatives overseas. The mail wasn't reliable, banks were costly, and sending cash meant a good chance it got stolen. Ordinary people needed a safe, affordable solution.
American Express sees the problem, and also the opportunity. Under J.C. Fargo's watch, American Express doubles down on a business that will become a literal goldmine for them.
A money order is basically a prepaid check. Instead of mailing cash and hoping it doesn't get lost or stolen, you hand the money to American Express. They give you a piece of paper for the same amount, and whoever receives it can cash in at any Amex office.
The simplicity of the idea is brilliant, and American society is never the same. But the real brilliance hides beneath the surface, in the float. Every time someone buys a money order, American Express holds the cash until it is redeemed. During that time, sometimes days, sometimes weeks, the company controls the money. It invests it, uses it, earns on it.
It was clever. One transaction paid two ways. The customer felt secure, and Amex made interest while holding the money. As sales kept growing, that float turned into a machine, and what began as a service ended up changing corporate finance.
American Express is no longer just an express company. It is now a financial institution trusted by millions. But even this breakthrough pales in comparison to what they are about to invent next. It is the late 1880s. J.C. Fargo, the president of American Express, sails to Europe. Officially, he is taking a much-needed vacation. Unofficially, he wants to see how his company might expand overseas to match America's new global ambitions. In Europe, Fargo carries a letter of credit, the traditional tool for travelers. But when he tries to cash it at foreign banks, the process turns sour.
Clerks made him wait. They studied his signature, even pulled in whole offices of staff just to decide if he was really who he said he was.
Fargo, the president of a great American company, is treated like a suspect. The longer he waits, the angrier he becomes. When he returns to New York, still fuming, Fargo calls his executives together. He tells them the company must find a new way, a faster, safer way, for travelers to get their money abroad. He does not care how it is done, only that it must be done. His frustration becomes a command. From that command is born the traveler's check. Simple, but revolutionary. A customer buys a paper check from American Express, signs it once at the counter, and then again when cashing it abroad. As long as the two signatures match, the money is paid. If the check is lost or stolen, it can be replaced.
In the 1800s, taking money overseas was a hassle. You carry heavy coins or letters of credit that took forever to cash out. The traveler's check changed all of that. It's just a slip of paper guaranteed by Amex, and it just made travel so much better and safer.
By 1905, millions of dollars in traveler's checks are in circulation. American Express, once just a shipping company, becomes the banker for the traveling world. For the company, the future looks brighter than ever. But for the man at the helm, his own journey is coming to an end. In early 1915, J.C. Fargo is 85 years old, worn down by decades of ruling American Express with an iron grip. His health has faltered, and pneumonia delivers the final blow. J.C. Fargo dies in New York. For more than 30 years, Fargo has led the company, first building, then guarding its empire.
His passing shook the business world. Fargo had a reputation, hard-headed, controlling, stacking the company with relatives, but he also transformed American Express, taking it from hauling freight to creating global products like money orders and traveler's checks. Whatever his faults, his mark on American business was huge.
With Fargo gone, the era of family control ends. George Taylor steps in as chief executive.
Almost immediately, he began firing a lot of employees with the last name Fargo and reversing JC's nepotism and sweeping aside his old allies.
The timing could not be more critical. Across the Atlantic, Europe is already at war. By 1917, America joins the fight. The war is devastating, but for American Express's financial services, the war is a windfall. Traveler's checks become essential for soldiers and civilians alike, trusted where cash is unsafe and bank drafts unreliable. American Express offices in London, Paris, and beyond handle millions in payments, building the company's reputation as a truly global banker. By war's end, American Express emerges stronger than ever. And now, back home, American Express is about to come face to face with its biggest rival yet, the United States government. The turn of the century brings a storm. America enters the progressive era, a time when the public grows tired of monopolies that strangle competition and dictate prices. The railroads are broken up. Standard Oil is smashed. Steel and tobacco face the wrath of Washington. No corporation, no matter how wealthy, feels safe.
The express industry was basically a cartel. A few big names, American Express among them, divided the map, set the prices, and made sure no one else could get in.
To the U.S. government, they are a symbol of unchecked greed. To the U.S. Post Office, they are rivals to be eliminated. The hammer falls in 1918. As World War I rages overseas, the federal government takes over the railroads. At the same time, it forces every express company out of the domestic shipping business.
They lost it all in one stroke. 10,000 offices, 15,000 employees, and their original business, express shipping. Funny enough, they kept the name American Express, even though it stopped being a shipping company for centuries.
George Taylor knows the company must pivot or perish. He focuses on financial services, cutting ties with the old Fargo network, and modernizing management. For a time, it works. Travelers' checks and money orders keep money flowing, even as the old express routes vanish. The bigger the company grows, the more attention it attracts. And one of the largest banks on Wall Street is watching closely. And by early 1920s, it's about to make a move. In the late 1920s, Chase National Bank is one of the most powerful financial institutions in America. Formed from a merger of older banks and backed by Wall Street giants, Chase holds billions in assets and has deep ties to the business elite. It is growing fast, swallowing up companies in its path. At the head of Chase is 𝗷𝘂𝘀𝘁. He is confident, sharp, and ruthless. A banker with ambition as big as his bank's balance sheet. He believes the future belongs to banks that can control all parts of finance, including payments, shipping, and travel. American Express looks like the perfect takeover target.
At first, Amex was caught off guard. George Taylor never saw that kind of pressure coming. Chase started buying up shares, moving in from the inside. Taylor was cornered. He couldn't hold the boardroom anymore.
At that point, it really looked like Chase will win. And news headlines treated it like it was a done deal. People thought American Express was finished, about to be swallowed by one of Wall Street's biggest firms.
But history has other plans.
(1929), Black Tuesday. The New York Stock Exchange is in a panic. Frantic investors have scrambled to unload their stocks at any price. Everyone wants to sell. No one wants to buy. Suddenly, even the most gilt-edged securities are practically valueless.
The crash of 1929 sends shockwaves across Wall Street. For Chase Bank, it's a nightmare. The deal to buy American Express, once seen as a trophy, suddenly looks like a burden. The takeover falls apart as the financial world unravels.
Ironically, the crash saved American Express. Without Chase in control, the company stayed independent.
But the Great Depression hits hard. Businesses close, families lose homes. But American Express, leaner than big banks, weathers the storm by sticking to its core services: money orders, travelers' checks, and shipping.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you this important bulletin from the United Press. Flash, Washington. The White House announces Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor.
As America's drawn to the Second World War, global conflict disrupts everything. World War II redraws the map of the world. American Express begins to help finance the war effort by selling government bonds and handling foreign exchange for soldiers and businesses overseas. And when soldiers abroad need to send money home back in the U.S., they choose American Express to do so.
He returns with a new sense of responsibility, of initiative, with new skills acquired, with old skills sharpened.
After World War II, prosperity explodes in America. Soldiers return home, suburbs grow, and families embrace a booming consumer lifestyle.
The economy was booming. People were traveling more than ever. Airlines were becoming the new way to move, and Americans were chasing speed, comfort, and a modern way of life.
American Express does well in this new world. Its travelers' checks are more trusted than ever. Businessmen and tourists carry them everywhere. Its money orders are still used by families and workers. And while it continues to serve the old world of steamships and paper signatures, a younger generation is inventing something new. It doesn't look like much at first. A new industry is on the rise, and it will change everything for the country. The company that leads this revolution is called Diners Club. Thanks to Wall Street, banks are pushing credit like never before. The age of easy money is born.
You could go buy a house with no money down, no documentation, no income. a bank will give you a loan. So easy money, it's not just about interest rates, it's about very lax terms.
Joe on the street was getting loans, literally loans, to buy all sorts of stuff.
Frank McNamara is a New York businessman and credit executive, always looking for ways to make money move faster. And on a cold evening in 1949, he's dining at Major's Cabin Grill, entertaining a client. When the bill arrives, he reaches for his wallet and realizes he forgot to bring cash. Embarrassed, he borrows money from his wife.
That moment really stuck with him. Back then, you could finance a house, a car, even washing machine. So he thought, why not smaller things? Why not a dinner?
A few months later, Diners Club is born. A Diners Club member would get a small paper card that they could use at participating restaurants. Instead of paying the restaurant directly, they would just sign the bill using their Diners Club card. Then, Diners Club would pay the restaurant on their behalf. At the end of the month, the member would get a single bill from Diners Club, which they had to pay in full.
People take it for granted now, but back then, nobody had seen anything like it. You could walk out of a restaurant by just signing your name. No cash at all. It was trust turned into currency.
By the end of the first year, they had 20,000 members and 300+ restaurants, and word was spreading fast. For upper middle class professionals in cities, this felt like the future. Clean, elegant, no fumbling for bills. In the late 1950s, American Express is run by Ralph Reed, a determined executive who believes the company must evolve or die. After watching Diners Club grow fast, Reed sees the writing on the wall. If American Express wants to stay relevant, it must launch its own charge card.
The Hotel Corporation of America has completed an agreement with the American Express Company to participate in the new Amex credit card service. It was announced yesterday.
The very first American Express card launches in 1958.
It was purple, made of cardboard, and here's how it worked. You used it at a store or restaurant. Amex covered the bill, and then once a month you paid Amex back. No interest, just a single monthly bill. Amex made money by charging merchants a fee, plus a small yearly fee to cardholders.
Reed believes this card will transform the company. He bets his reputation on it. He hires thousands of reps to sign up merchants, floods the airwaves with ads, and makes the card the new symbol of class. But then, no one signs up. Merchants hesitate to accept the card. Customers don't understand it.
It seemed like they had no idea what they were doing. Those cardboard cards, they wore out in people's wallet.
American Express, once the name of class and reliability, is now getting angry phone calls from frustrated members. Within months, the card division is bleeding cash. Reed refuses to back down. He demands a fix. In a moment of desperate innovation, the company switches to a new material, plastic. They're among the first companies in the world to do it. The new card is sleek, durable, and futuristic. It's a turning point. By 1960, the card division finally turns a profit. In the decades that follow, it becomes more than a payment tool. It becomes a symbol, a badge of entry into the world of executive lounges, five-star hotels, and corner office power lunches. Flush with success, American Express begins to expand. A new division is issuing receipts and letters of guarantee for corporate deals and shipments. A simple promise, backed by the Amex brand, becomes a financial product. They are no longer just moving money, they are selling trust itself. But trust, once weaponized, can be stolen. And one man is about to do just that. His name is Anthony DeAngelis. Anthony Tino DeAngelis was not born into power. He earned it, one deal at a time. Raised in a working-class Italian family in the Bronx, and learns early how to make a buck out of nothing. In the 1940s, During World War II, Anthony DeAngelis made money by selling cooking oil and margarine to the US military. After the war, he kept going. He bought big shipments, tankers, of vegetable oil like soybean and cottonseed oil. He stored them, sold them, moved them from place to place.
He learned the business inside and out, and more importantly, he learned how to move products and played the system.
And soon, he discovers lucrative business unlike anything he's ever seen. In the 1960s, American Express has a business division that issues warehouse receipts.
They really turned trust into a product. If you had a commodity like vegetable oil, you could pay American Express to issue a receipt, and that acted like a guarantee. You could walk into a bank with that slip and borrow money, and the bank trusted it because it had MX's name on it.
DeAngelis learns to game the system. He buys a small amount of oil, gets a warehouse to issue a receipt, then he waters the oil down or pumps it from tank to fool inspectors. He reuses the same oil to get multiple receipts from American Express. Each receipt unlocks a new loan, and soon he's pulling in tens of millions. He builds a trading empire on oil that doesn't exist, on nothing but promises and paper.
At one point, DeAngelis had $150 million worth of oil. He basically controlled 25% of the global soybean oil futures market.
But all empires built on lies eventually collapse. In 1963, Ray Dirks, a Wall Street analyst, catches strange inconsistencies in DeAngelis's reported inventories. What Dirks uncovers, and what later shocks the financial world, is that many of the massive storage tanks DeAngelis claimed to be full are nearly empty. Some are filled with seawater, topped with a thin layer of oil to deceive inspectors. The fallout is immediate.
Mr. DeAngelis, who has been indicted by a federal grand jury for allegedly transporting some $39 million in forged warehouse receipts across state lines, is the key figure in several other court proceedings.
American Express had unknowingly guaranteed millions of dollars in fake assets. Their warehouse subsidiary is exposed. Investors panic. The stock plunges. The CEO at the time, Howard Clark, is humiliated. He has steered the company through decades of growth, expanding its reach across borders and into wallets. But now, his reputation is under attack. What is worse, American Express is expected to cover the huge loss created by DeAngelis's fraud.
The mood inside American Express was very combative. Their plan was simple: fight every lawsuit and protect shareholders. Their argument was very clear. American Express didn't run the scam, and why should they be the one paying for the losses?
But one shareholder thinks differently, that trust is more valuable than any balance sheet, and reputation, once lost, is nearly impossible to buy back. And that shareholder is Warren Buffett. It's 1964. A young, up-and-comer Warren Buffett is only 34 years old. But already, he's built a reputation among a small circle of investors. When the salad oil scandal hits the headlines, Buffett doesn't panic. He sees opportunity. Within months, he pours more than $13 million into American Express stock, an astonishing 40% of his total fund. At American Express headquarters, CEO Howard Clark stares down the barrel of a $60 million problem. He knows the company isn't legally obligated to make the banks whole. But he also knows that public trust once lost can never be bought back. And so, against internal protest, but with the support of Warren Buffett, he makes the call. They'll repay the banks. Every last dollar.
The board couldn't believe it. Some directors were sure Clark had ruined the firm. The stock tanked, some even wanted him out, but he refused to back down.
But Buffett had a different idea. His argument was very simple. The brand was worth much more than the losses. And protect the brand, the value will come back in many times over.
the move to repay the banks becomes the best marketing investment in the company's history. Amex becomes the name that always delivers, the brand that always pays. That trust becomes priceless. The 1960s are a time of great change in America. The country enjoys massive economic growth, but it also faces waves of social unrest, rising inflation, and the long shadow of the Vietnam War. But for companies like American Express, the world is opening up, and so is the appetite for consumer finance. When Howard Clark retires, he leaves behind a firm more prosperous than ever. In his place rises James D. Robinson III, a young, polished executive with sharp instincts and global ambition.
Once a company reached a certain size, organic growth only took it so far, and the real game became acquisitions. And for that, you need a different style of leaders. Someone built for deal making.
For Robinson, the goal is clear. American Express cannot merely be a trusted brand. It must become an empire. One that spans not just travel and finance, but investment banking, brokerage, insurance, everything. He begins looking for the right company to buy, and soon, a fast-growing firm out of Wall Street's backrooms catches his eye. American Express built its entire business on trust by protecting your data with chip codes, tokenized payments, and extra ID checks through SafeKey. But the same can't be said for countless data brokers and shady companies who freely trade your personal details and leave you exposed. That's where 𝗵𝗂𝘀𝐺 comes in.
If you're watching this channel, chances are you're financially savvy and business-minded, and your data is more valuable than most. Personally, I was shocked to find out how many various sites have my data. Just one leak can mean scams, stolen credit, or identity theft that can take months to fix. So protecting yourself up front is a no-brainer.
𝗵𝗂𝘀𝐺 does the hard work for you. Instead of spending years sending deletion requests yourself, 𝗵𝗂𝘀𝐺 automatically contacts data brokers on your behalf, forces them to remove your info, and keeps you updated with results. And with their new custom removal feature, if you find your personal information on any people search site or shady website, you can point it out, and 𝗵𝗂𝘀𝐺's privacy agents will handle it for you. It's like having a personal legal team that fights to erase your footprint online.
Go to 𝗵𝗂𝘀𝐺.com/Phineas and use code Phineas to get 60% off today. That's 𝗵𝗂𝘀𝐺.com/Phineas, code Phineas, link in the description.
Sandy Weill was born in Brooklyn in 1933, the child of hard-working Jewish immigrants. As a boy, he sold eggs door to door. When he grew up, he took a job running errands on Wall Street.
He learned everything on the ground, how to sell, how to trade, how to cold call. He learned by doing it himself.
By the time he's 30, he's ready to build something of his own. In 1960, he gathers 3 colleagues and opens a tiny brokerage. Weill grows the business fast. He swallows competitors, adds services, builds a powerhouse from nothing. Over the next decade, his firm becomes Shearson Loeb Rhodes, a major player in the financial world. It is exactly the kind of business American Express is looking for.
In separate meetings yesterday, shareholders of the American Express Company and Shearson Loeb Rhodes Incorporated approved the merger of Wall Street's second largest brokerage house into the international credit card giant.
The acquisition looks great on paper, but it quickly turns out to be a disaster.
The two sides collided right away. Shearson's traders were tough, brash, all about winning. Amex was careful and corporate. Word got around. Shearson guys mocked the bureaucracy, skipped the hierarchy, even got into fights in the boardroom. This wasn't a merger, it was open conflict. It didn't feel like a merger, it felt like a civil war.
Jim Robinson tries to keep it all together. His dream is still alive, a global financial supermarket where every customer gets their card, mortgage, and mutual fund from American Express. He buys more firms. Then, in a bold swing, he acquires Lehman Brothers, a name with gravitas, pedigree, and a Wall Street reputation forged in steel. But beneath the surface, the empire is cracking.
The tensions never eased. Shearson felt stifled by Amex. Amex didn't get Shearson's culture. Lehman refused to be managed at all. The profits stayed thin, headlines grew skeptical, and investors got nervous.
Then comes the crash of 1987. The market tanks. Revenues collapse. The companies Amex acquired becomes liabilities. To the shareholders and the board, it's all the fault of Jim Robinson.
The American Express Company said yesterday that it had begun to seek a replacement for James D. Robinson III, its chairman and chief executive for 15 years. Mr. Robinson is participating in the search for his replacement and will step down when a successor is chosen, perhaps as soon as next year.
By early 1990s, Amex is at a crossroad. After Jim Robinson steps down, American Express needs to find a new direction. The company is too big, too slow, and has too many moving parts. 𝗷𝘂𝘀𝘁 steps into the breach. His mission is clear: rebuild trust, cut the fat, and turn the card business back into a sleek, profitable engine. But times have changed. A new generation of credit cards floods the market.
At that time, rewards were the big trend. Visa and MasterCard pushed cash back. Airlines sold the dream of free miles. Even supermarkets mailed out plastic cards with flashy teaser rates.
𝗂𝘁 sees an opening, not to cut prices, but to build loyalty. Out of this pressure, the membership rewards program is born. Instead of giving cash back, American Express gives points. And points can be redeemed for flights, hotels, dinners, and more.
I do have flight 139 leaving in 20 minutes, but only in first class.
I'll take it. Okay, they're calling my flight. I'll be there.
The second potted plant from the left.
Coming through when you're needed most. Membership has its privileges.
It seems like generosity, but it's pure business genius.
Here's how it worked. Every time someone swiped an Amex card, the company earned a fee from merchant. The more people spent chasing points, the more the company made. But many of those points were never used, so they really cost far less than people thought. So the mix of psychology and money was really brilliant.
Membership rewards becomes a massive success. Cardholders love it. Merchants get more business. And Amex, for the first time in a long time, finds itself ahead of the curve. The 1990s is a decade of unprecedented prosperity. America is roaring. The dot-com frenzy electrifies Wall Street. Consumers are flush with credit and optimism. Internet startups explode onto the scene, and tech wealth floods the suburbs. People spend more freely than ever before, on luxury, on travel, on identity. The economy hums like a supercar on an open highway. For American Express, the timing is perfect. Its brand, once tied to steamships and travelers' checks, now belongs to business-class cabins and boutique hotel suites. It evolves into a lifestyle badge, a membership that signals you've made it. The Platinum card becomes iconic. Its customer base grows global, elite, loyal. Then, in an instant, everything stops.
The unthinkable happened today. The World Trade Center, both towers, gone, and we are all witnesses to it, and to some degree we are all victims.
The morning of September 11th, 2001. The towers fall. American Express's global headquarters at 3 World Financial Center is hit hard. 11 employees are killed. Its office is crushed.
We lost 11 employees who worked in the World Trade Center. As you can imagine, it was emotionally gut-wrenching. I was actually not in our building. I was in Salt Lake City, and it was a surreal experience.
Despite the heavy losses, Amex honors every claim, every obligation. When the dust settles, his reputation doesn't just survive, it strengthens. By the mid-2000s, it's bigger than ever. Annual transaction volume surges into the hundreds of billions. Its footprint spans the globe. It's no longer just a credit card company. It's a financial giant rivaling Visa and MasterCard in scale and influence. But with size comes scrutiny. Its fees are high, its network is powerful, and the US government and a growing chorus of merchants start asking hard questions. In the early 2000s, America's merchants reach a breaking point. For years, they grumble about the credit card giants, Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. By 2010, those grumbles erupt into lawsuits. The US government and thousands of retailers join forces, accusing the companies of rigging the system.
So the setup was simple. Every swipe cost the store a fee, sometimes 2% or more. But the real power was in the contracts. Stores weren't allowed to point customers to cheaper cards or even admit how much the fees cost them.
The Department of Justice announced today that it filed a civil antitrust lawsuit in U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York, challenging rules that American Express, MasterCard, and Visa have in place that prevent merchants from offering consumers discounts, rewards, and information about card costs, ultimately resulting in consumers paying more for their purchases.
Billions of dollars hang in the balance. If the courts rule against the card giants, the damages will be historic, among the largest antitrust penalties in U.S. history. The very structure of the industry could collapse overnight.
Visa and MasterCard, 7 state attorneys general, and the Department of Justice agreed to settle an antitrust lawsuit today. American Express says it will challenge it.
In 2010, when the Department of Justice sued Visa, MasterCard, and American Express for their anti-steering rules, Visa and MasterCard didn't wait. They settled almost immediately, agreeing to drop the rules and avoid court.
The big issue was this rule. If a store took your card, they weren't allowed to tell you which one cost them more or give you a discount for using a cheaper card.
At the time, American Express is run by 𝗫𝐶, a disciplined man who carries himself with calm precision and razor focus. He sees no safe compromise.
For Amex, these rules weren't minor details. They were the shield that protected its high-cost, high-value system. And without them, merchants will push customers for cheaper cards, and Amex will lose its edge.
𝗫𝐶 makes the call. American Express will fight. The fight grinds through years of courtrooms. Amex loses in district court, but it appeals, then appeals again. The case climbs to the Supreme Court.
In a decision on Monday, the Supreme Court sided with American Express on their policies that stop retailers from steering customers to other credit cards that charge lower swipe fees.
Visa and MasterCard rewrite their contracts. They pay their settlements. American Express emerges untouched. It gambles everything on the strength of its model. And in the highest court in the land, it wins. From 2010 to 2025, America marches through cycles of boom, bust, and rebirth. The economy bounces back after the Great Recession. Tech disruption redefines shopping, travel, and banking. Consumers adopt smartphones and digital wallets. Credit becomes more ubiquitous and faster. American Express rides this wave. Each year, customers charge more than $1 trillion on its cards. Revenue climbs towards $77 billion by 2025. Annual profits stay above $10 billion. Amex remains the card of choice for travelers, entrepreneurs, and the global elite. Stephen J. Squeri takes over as CEO in 2018, after joining the company back in 1985. His mission is clear: double down on digital innovation, deepen loyalty programs, and expand Amex's reach worldwide.
The model worked because it was disciplined. Merchants complained about the higher fees, but they still paid. Amex customers spent more, tipped more, and stuck around. The rewards kept people loyal, but a lot of points were never redeemed, or they cost Amex less than folks thought. And in between, Amex held the money just long enough to earn interest. It all came down to trust and prestige. That's what let them charge more and still be around.
By 2025, American Express is worth over $200 billion on Wall Street. It processes trillions in global spending. It stands as one of the most trusted financial brands in the world. But in finance, trust is fragile, and trust is always one crisis away from collapse. When I tried to break into finance, it was incredibly difficult because I did not have an Ivy League degree, and I got rejected so many times by Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. But YouTube changed everything. It helped me build connections that eventually allowed me to launch my own fund. Now I want to bring all the ambitious people together and form a kind of a syndicate. People who help each other move up in business and life. We have candidates from hedge funds, family offices, and fast-growing startups across the world. And if you want to join the Finance Guild, click the link in the description.